I want to get back to our top story this hour. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he is summoning U.S. Ambassador Daniel Shapiro after the U.S. allowed a United Nations resolution condemning Israeli settlements to pass. The two have had meetings scheduled, and it is now going to happen this evening. Israel also summoned the ambassadors of 10 countries that voted for the resolution. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made his concern clear earlier today.
Over decades, American administrations and Israeli governments have disagreed about settlements, but we agreed that the Security Council was not the place to resolve this issue. We knew that going there would make negotiations harder and drive peace further away.
I want to bring in David Keyes. He is a spokesman for the Israeli Prime Minister. David, thank you so much for joining me. Obviously, the Prime Minister and many people in your country are very upset. Tell us first and foremost about what he plans to say to the U.S. ambassador in their meeting this evening there.
Well, I'll leave that to the Prime Minister and the American ambassador. But what I can say is that Israelis collectively, and the government in particular, was deeply, deeply disappointed at this Security Council vote. You know, according to this Security Council resolution, the Western Wall, one of the holiest places to the Jewish people, a place where Jews have lived and prayed to and turned to for literally thousands of years, is deemed illegally occupied. That's ahistorical, that's immoral, and it's just plain wrong. And therefore, the government, I think very rightly, saw this resolution as actually a step not towards peace, but away from peace. It actually makes peace harder to attain. What this resolution says is that the presence of Jews living in Judea is really the barrier to peace. It's not the fact that the Palestinians refuse to recognize a Jewish state in any boundaries whatsoever. It's not the fact that the Palestinian leadership and authority is constantly indoctrinating young children with the idea that it's better to kill an Israeli than to live in peace with it. The real barrier to peace are policies like the Palestinian leadership has enacted to actually pay salaries to people who murder Israelis.
So given all of that,
this resolution is shameful, and it actually pushes peace farther away.
Given all of that, why does your boss, the Prime Minister, think that the Obama administration did what it did?
Well, we have ironclad information, frankly, that the Obama administration really helped push this resolution and helped craft it from sources internationally and from sources in the Arab world. And it's really an unfortunate legacy, a kind of last-minute jab at Israel that actually distances peace. And I applaud leaders of both the Democratic and Republican parties who have come out and blasted this deeply anti-Israel resolution, this resolution that unfairly targets Israel from a body which to say is biased would truly be to understate.
David, let me just stop you right there. You are saying you have ironclad information, effectively, that the U.S. engaged in collusion with the Palestinians to get this resolution passed. Can you give that to the public? Can you make it public to prove what you're saying is true?
Unfortunately, I can't, not here on CNN, but I can tell you that we have full confidence that the information is accurate. And it's really unfortunate because Israel's hand has been and is extended for peace. The Prime Minister has called on President Abbas literally hundreds of times to meet with him anytime, anywhere, without preconditions. And the fact that the Palestinian leadership has said no to that invitation so many times really tells you everything you need to know about why peace is stalled.
Just for the record, I had a Palestinian official on in the last hour who I asked this very question, who denied it, insisted that didn't happen. So obviously two different points of view, but you can be sure we're going to be digging down and trying to get the proof to that allegation, because it's a pretty explosive one given the history of these countries. Now, let's look forward. Actually, before we do that, I do want to ask you one question about this meeting tonight. The fact that he, the Prime Minister, is meeting with President Obama's ambassador, somebody who's not going to be there in 20 plus days. I mean, diplomatically, isn't that a waste of time, considering the fact that he's going to have a whole new administration, a whole new cast of characters to work with? Does he just want to have a chance to basically slap him on the wrist in person, in private?
I don't think it's a waste of time at all. I think it's a very important message to send, that those who claim that the Western Wall is illegally occupied territory, those who allow such deeply anti-Israel and one-sided resolutions to pass, need to be told the truth. And the truth is that we're not illegally occupying places like the Western Wall. The truth is that our hand is always extended for peace. And the truth is that the real barrier to peace here is not the presence of Jewish communities in Judea. The real barrier to peace here is the fact that the Palestinian leadership refuses to recognize a Jewish state in any boundaries whatsoever. So, frankly, I'm very glad that this message is being sent to the world about the truth of this deeply anti-Israel resolution. And I'll say just one more thing, that President Obama himself said in 2011 that peace was not going to come through resolutions or statements at the United Nations. He was right then, and it's unfortunate to see the Obama administration allowing such a vote to pass.
So let's look ahead, and perhaps we can do so on a hopeful note. I want to play for you something that Hussam Zalmat said to me in the last hour. He is a Palestinian leader and advisor to Mahmoud Abbas about looking forward to the Trump administration and the possibilities then. Take a listen.
He hoped that President-elect Trump will really start focusing on us, and our hands are extended, our hearts are open, our hopes are high, and our prayers in the Christmas Eve is that he is going to be the one who's going to make the deal. Absolutely, we are willing, we are ready to move with him towards the journey of peace. We need it, the Israeli people need it, the region needs it, and the U.S. needs it. We just need to really focus on how do we tell Netanyahu that you can no longer have the cake and eat it too.
Okay, so the Prime Minister, Netanyahu, has made it very clear that he is looking forward to a Trump administration, too. Does that give you hope, what you just heard, that perhaps a new administration in the U.S. with a very different approach and a different history, maybe a lack thereof, could be what's needed?
I am indeed hopeful about the future, and so is the Prime Minister. He looks forward to working with the President-elect, and it's our sincere desire that at long last the Palestinians come to accept the presence of a Jewish state here. And there's a number of things that could be done, from stopping this horrific culture of hate where Palestinians are teaching young children to lust for death and to try to want to kill Israelis by paying them a monthly salary. You know, that's what happens today, is that anybody who murders an Israeli is actually paid a monthly salary. So Israel is hopeful despite those challenges, but real peace is based off mutual recognition and mutual dignity. And we stand ready to make peace with any partner that's willing to have peace with us, so long as they both recognize our right to exist and aren't a threat to our very existence.
Well, I'm glad that we could end on a hopeful note. Thank you very much for joining me. Happy Hanukkah to you, David Keyes. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Thank you.
And we're going to be back in a moment.